What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and today I've got a story time for y'all that I think you're going to enjoy that was sent in to me by a subscriber about why he's like traumatically afraid of all amusement park rides now. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of funny. Hate to say that about your story, bro, but before we get into it, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, this is gonna happen to you, and trust me, you really don't want that. Let's go.
Nice rack in her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear I'm.
Alright, I want to open this by giving this subscriber some credit. When you're a little kid, amusement park rides can be horrifying, okay? Like, if you've never been on a roller coaster with a loop in it and you're waiting in line to ride that for the first time as a kid, it can be very, very, very scary. And, you know, this subscriber wasn't necessarily afraid of most rides. They had ridden most of the rides in the park without failure. They'd been on all the roller coasters, but there was one in particular that they were really, really afraid of, you know. It was the biggest one in the park. It went incredibly fast, all the stereotypical afraid of things about why you'd be afraid of it. And obviously now, as an adult, I can be like, well, it's an amusement park ride, and they wouldn't build it if it was dangerous. Like, I can think that now. But, you know, I've been in this subscriber's shoes of being a little kid and being illogical and being like, what if the ride breaks? What if it kills me? They were so afraid of this ride, it had gotten to the point where, like, they had been to this amusement park multiple times and not gone on it because, you know, that's how afraid they were of it. This time, though, they were at the park with some of their friends. They were a little bit older, and they were like, all right, this is gonna be fine. I'm gonna ride this ride. It's gonna be lit. And obviously, they were definitely scared, but they were hiding it pretty well. No one wants to be the person that, like, chickens out on the amusement park ride when you're with your friends, right? I've never really been to a ton of amusement park with my friends. Like, it hasn't been something often for me, but I could imagine not wanting to chicken out in front of a bunch of people I went to school with. Like, I could imagine that feeling, you know? Regardless, they were in line, and he's finally feeling brave enough. He's like, okay, I think I can handle this, whatever. It's a roller coaster. It's not that bad. Starting to do the logic thing where he's like, they wouldn't build it if it was dangerous, all that. And as much as he's trying to logic with himself, there's still that irrational part of him that's like, kind of horrified. But his friends don't seem scared, so everything's kind of chill. And I think for sure, if this wouldn't have happened, it would have been a fine experience. But as they're waiting in line, he notices that there's this little kid behind him. And the little kid is probably like 8 years old. He's a lot younger than this group. But he's going on this ride. And that's one of the things that really stands out to this kid that's making him hyped up and stay brave and not get scared. If he's like, okay, well, if this little kid's gonna go on it, what? I'm gonna wimp out? Like, I'm gonna walk past this little kid and go out of the line? He's kind of using that to hype himself up. And so they're going through the line, and you come around this one corner of the line, and when you're there, you see the takeoff of the roller coaster. And it was one of those roller coasters that shot off with a bunch of force, right? And they're kind of watching car after car take off, and it's definitely messing with him because it's going fast, it's scaring him. But the kid behind him that he'd been using to feel brave starts crying. You know, he starts to be like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to do that. And he kind of is listening to the son and the mom talking, and he's like, Mom, I don't know, this is really scary, like, I'm really scared. And his mom keeps kind of trying to encourage him and be like, it's gonna be fine, don't worry about it. And they're waiting in line, and his friends are joking around, but he's just like really scared now, and he's hyper focused on this kid behind him crying, right? You know, because it's just like, oh no. And as he's listening, the kid's not calming down. The kid's getting more and more scared as they get closer. And they finally get to that point where, like, you get assigned to your row. Like, you know, when you get to the person and they're like, okay, you go to row 2, you go to row 3, you go there. And at that point, they start walking down to their row, and the kid starts screaming. The kid at this point is freaking out. He's like, I don't want to go on it. I don't want to go on this ride. Please don't make me do this. He's crying, and he, like, you know, it's getting to the point where the workers might intervene and be like, okay, your kid can't go. He's freaking out too much. And so this subscriber is starting to get really scared. The more that this kid's freaking out and screaming and just having a temper tantrum, the more he's like, this is no bueno. It's freaking me out. But instead of doing the good parent thing, which would be to, like, take your kid off the ride if he's literally screaming, crying, saying he doesn't want to do it, I guess the line had been long, so this kid's parents were like, no, you are riding this ride. So kicking and screaming, they get him in the roller coaster, they get the lap bar down, and it just so happens that this kid is right behind the subscriber now. So this subscriber's already nervous, but on top of that, he now has a screaming kid behind him who is literally screaming like he's about to get murdered. Like, you know when someone's yell starts to just be like animal, just like, "Wah, wah." That is what this kid is doing. That's how horrified he was of this roller coaster. So it starts to go and they like launch out of the station. And when they launch out of the station, this kid, the subscriber's knuckles are white and the kid is just screaming like, "Get me out, let me out, let me out." And so you take off, you do a loop, and then you come and you start to go up this hill, like the iconic roller coaster as you're going up the hill, right? And so they're on their way up the hill and the kid behind them is now screaming just like, "Let me off this thing, let me off this thing," over and over again. And his mom keeps being like, "Stop, you're gonna have fun." And the kid's like, "I'm not having fun, we just did a loop-de-loop and I hit my head, I'm not having fun, I'm not having fun, let me off this thing." And the subscriber at this point is pretty convinced that they're gonna die, right? Like the logical side of you wants to come in and be like, "All right, well, whatever, the kid's just scared." But in that moment, I've never been there. If someone's right behind me on a ride screaming about how they're gonna die and they're hitting their head on stuff and I've never been on the ride and I'm already scared, yeah, I could probably imagine that that's not the most calming feeling. So they're on the way on the top of the hill and they start to come over the crest, and that entire time the kid's just still talking about how he wants to get let off and he thinks he's gonna die. And finally the hill comes over, and when the hill comes over, there's like a big gust of wind. And I'm sure some roller coasters are designed to do this, but it kind of sways a little bit. And in that moment, the subscriber's like, "I'm going to die." And then the roller coaster just drops, dude. And the entire time, the subscriber's just like grasping onto the seat so hard that their knuckles are turning white, all the blood flows coming out of them. And the rest of the roller coaster is probably only a minute, but it feels like forever, because the entire time the kid behind him is just screaming bloody murder about how much he hates this and wants to get off of it. And finally, the ride comes to a stop. And I don't know if y'all know what I mean, but like when a roller coaster's coming to a stop and it goes like the when you're coming around a turn. And all that the subscriber hears is just sobbing. There's no more screaming anymore. It's just like the most defeated crying at this point, just pure terror, fear. And, you know, the subscriber in his mind is like, "I feel you, kid, I feel you." Because the entire time, there's never a moment where the subscriber gets to let go and have fun or like enjoy the roller coaster. No, the entire time he's just thinking about how he's probably going to die. So they get off the ride and all of his friends are like, "That was awesome. That kid screaming was so funny. Haha, like that was so awesome. That was so awesome." And like the subscriber's just not saying anything. And they're like, "Did you like it? That was your first time." And he just looked at him and was like, "Yeah, never again. Never again." Right? And so they're kind of like doing the walk out of the ride, out of the exit. And he's kind of listening to the conversation again. And this kid is pissed at his parents. He's like, "That was awful. I never want to come here again. I never want to go on a roller coaster. I don't know why you guys made me do that. That was terrible." And I genuinely have to feel bad for that little kid, right? Because like, listen, I'm sure everybody's been there, dude, but if I'm screaming bloody murder saying I don't want to do something and you force me to do it and then I hit my head and have a horrible time, that's probably sticking with me for a while, dude. Like, this kid was probably never going to go on a roller coaster again. Let's be honest. If that's your first experience with it, is like just screaming, crying that you don't want to do it and then hitting your head and having a horrible experience, it's probably done for you. But on top of that, like, this kid was behind him the whole time, not realizing that he was scaring him too. Alright guys, I'm going to interrupt the video for just 1 second. If you look at your screen, you'll see a gift card code. For those of you that don't know, I give one of these away in every video I post to say thank you to y'all for subscribing and turning on notifications. If you haven't already, you should, and if you do, you're a legend. And yeah, well, I got you. Press the like button or your mom's a hoe. Thank you very much, and I'll shut up and get back to the video now. Thanks. Like, as much as this kid hates roller coasters and is traumatized now, it kind of rubbed off on him, and for the rest of the day, he didn't really want to go on intense rides. He didn't really want to do anything, and his friends were like, "What's wrong?" And he started telling them, you know, "Oh, I've got a stomach ache, like, I'm good. But in all honesty, all it did to him was reaffirm that, like, his fear of roller coasters was justified. You know, imagine you're not hyped to go on it. You're like, these things suck. They're scary. You hear someone screaming bloody murder and then get off of it and is like, "I'm never riding these rides again. That was horrible." In your mind, you're probably like, "See, I knew I was onto something. Everybody told me I was crazy, but I was correct." And obviously, you know, you probably should get over it and eventually ride roller coasters again. But this subscriber to this day has just like avoided roller coasters like the Black Plague, outside of a couple times. Like there was a few times he was with friends in an amusement park or for a school trip, and he tried to ride rides, but of his own fruition, he's never like wanted to go to an amusement park or do anything like that, because he says the few times that he's like tried to ride a roller coaster again on a school field trip or whatever, every time he starts getting in the ride and like going up the hill or like starting to move in the roller coaster, he just hears the kids screaming. Like, it seriously messed with this dude's head to the point where he just imagines this little guy behind him screaming that he wants to get off the ride every time. And if I was hearing "let me off this ride" and like that every time I was on a roller coaster, I probably wouldn't be the biggest fan of them either. Like I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I'm just saying, I especially wouldn't like it if I was haunted by the spirit of whatever person hated the roller coaster before me, dude. Like if the first time you rode Space Mountain, it just played the recording of the person who was there before you, and it's just some person screaming bloody murder, that doesn't sound very fun. What's really funny to me about this, though, is the fact that this kid out here, like, doesn't realize the power he just had over a stranger's life. Like, he's just ruined roller coasters for this person forever, and in his mind, all he remembers that day as is the day that his parents put him on the roller coaster he didn't like. Like, that's so funny to me, dude. It just goes to show you never know what's going on in life. Like, this little guy seriously just made this dude horrified of roller coasters. Probably has no idea, is in college somewhere by now, just, like, doing his thing. He probably still avoids roller coasters to this day, too, bro. I kind of had a similar experience. I don't like roller coasters because I got on one when I was too small to be on it and got tossed and turned around, and ever since then haven't really liked it. So I relate to being that little kid, dude. Definitely not having themselves a good time. But regardless, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and of course subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. If you really want to help me out, I'll put a link to the intro song down below. You can check that out along with the link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. All of those help me out, and you get a discount on G Fuel, so you got nothing to lose. On that note, last but certainly not least, I did go ahead and put some of my story times up on Spotify for you guys to listen to offline, or if you don't like the gameplay, stuff like that. So if you wouldn't mind checking that out, I will put that link at the top of the description. You guys should go give it a click. I would appreciate it. And yeah, on that note, that's everything I got to plug. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.